every once in a while, even the big boys screw some stuff up. So I'm going to talk you through what is about to be what I hope is one of my best ever purchases online, and it's coming from Carvana. Now again, you've seen where a lot of folks online on YouTube have really given Carvana a hard time. And in this particular case, somebody else should give Carvana a hard time, probably someone in management, because we're going to walk through this particular vehicle. You'll note that there's a purchase in progress, and I'm going to give you a couple pieces of advice when it comes to Carvana or CarMax. Some of these big boys, where a lot of their sales are online and their approach to inventory management is largely automated. So I have alerts set up for some of the nicer vehicles on both CarMax and Carvana based upon a YouTube video I watched about a year ago on VINWiki. And they talked about one of the, I believe it was CarMax, put an AMG 65 in wrong. And so as a result, it came up, about $15,000 under what the market should be, and it was snagged right away. Well, we had the same thing happen here with this BMW 7 Series. So you'll see, it's $25,990 with 44,832 miles, which is pretty normal pricing for a 750, a 2012 750. And we'll talk through some of the challenges of this vehicle. But this one isn't just a 750, it's an Alpina B7 X-Drive. Now, when you go down here and you look at the information that comes out of Carvana's system and where they tend to price these things, you'll see that the KBB is showing almost $8,381 discount to KBB value. But when you look at the original window sticker that Carvana has attached to it, you'll see that the car doesn't come up as an Alpina. It comes up as a 7 Series four-door sedan X-Drive all-wheel drive with the wrong retail price, $101. An Alpina originally was priced out at about $135, and this one has X-Drive. It has a couple of the other, it's a long wheelbase option. It's the X-Drive option. It's got a few other things on it that pushes the price tag up closer to $140. So the Carvana system apparently thinks that this is a standard 750IL or LI and is priced it accordingly, both here in the window sticker, the new window sticker, as well as over here, where everything is saying, hey, you should be pricing this car higher, and everyone knows Carvana doesn't discount their cars. But this one is sitting way, way, way below retail. And again, sometimes these guys will just make a mistake. So you can see there's 85 people have saved it, 942 views this week, because this is an anomaly. So there's other folks out there doing it. But if you're looking for a car and you're not looking for one that needs to be found right away, this is a really good opportunity for you, because this one's going to be coming to my house soon. So that purchase in progress is me. So let's walk through this one a little bit and figure out kind of what we've got coming here. This is a 2012 BMW 7 Series. It's the Alpina. The Alpina is a custom build of the BMW 7 Series done by Alpina in Germany. The cars are transported about 25 miles from the BMW factory over to Alpina, and a few things are done. You get new wheels and tires, upgraded suspension. You get a body kit which includes the spoiler here that you can see on the back, as well as, so you've got this rear spoiler, you've got the Alpina badging, and you've got an air dam in the front that's a little bit lower that improves the lift. On the engine side, you've got about 100 extra horsepower in the 2012 version. This comes from a little bit stronger boost, a little bit larger turbochargers, and to help offset some of the heat generated there, you've also got larger intercoolers, larger fans coming out of the 760. So you've got a little bit of a Frankencar here mashup with some of the mechanical systems to try and drive the heat out of the car. Now these N63 BMW engines are a little bit notorious, maybe a lot notorious for their what's called hot V configuration, which is a turbochargers and the exhaust manifold is in the V of the engine, where normally they're mounted outboard. And that creates a lot of heat. So these cars do have a tendency to get really hot. They have a tendency to have premature wear. They have a tendency to burn oil. They need really fastidious maintenance. And a lot of folks just go, hey, I'm not going to mess around with these cars. So the values have come down relative to the equivalent years of S-Class or even Jaguar, for instance, because of the nature of the N63 engine. The Alpinas are a little bit different in that they've got kind of beefed up internals with different rods, pistons, and bearings, as well as that increased cooling. But that doesn't make them exempt from some of the challenges around the engine reliability. This particular Alpina is black, and it's got a couple little scrapes according to the video here. And again, I haven't seen the car. We'll post that up in a couple weeks when it actually shows up. It's got a couple scrapes on the outside, but nothing of note. The car in and of itself, when we go down here, it is fairly well loaded up. It's the black. It's the black with the Napa interior, and it comes with the black floor mats and black carpet. So it's got the contrasting colors on the inside. It is fairly well loaded up. The one thing it doesn't have that I'm going to miss on the car I'm driving today is the adaptive cruise control. But it's got pretty much everything else. You can see it's got the Alpina wheels, the custom Alpina gauges. It's comes equipped with the ceramic package, so all the stuff here is blacked out. The car in and of itself is in really fairly good shape based upon the pictures. You can see it's only got 44,800 original miles, one owner miles, according to the CARFAX. It comes with, what I was disappointed, not the Bang & Olufsen system, but the decent BMW stereo system. And you can see the kind of the listed wear on the seat, which is pretty minor for a 10-year-old car. The couple things that you can take a look at, here's the ones that it's sending me as comparables. So you could see 760, this is a 12-cylinder with 11,000 miles, $60,000 roughly. 2014 750, which again, the 2013 was a kind of a crossover year for the BMW in the reliability of the N63 engine. But you can see here that you've got similar mileage, and the car is $10,000 more. This one here, again, similar mileage, a couple years newer, $13,000 more. And that's what these are what it's giving me as equivalents. You can see this is probably one of the closer equivalents in age. You got a 2010, so it's a few years older, with 10,000 more miles on it, and are asking $4,000 less. So again, from my seat, I'm feeling pretty good about the vehicle here and the purchase, particularly, and we'll go look at Auto Tempest in a moment, particularly where the market is today. So it does have, pretty much everything loaded up. Let's take a quick look at the CARFAX. So looking at the CARFAX, you can see that this is a CARFAX one-owner vehicle. It shows here that it's an Alpina B7 with all-wheel drive, and one-owner New York and Arizona. The bulk of the time, you'll see this car was spent in New York and was dealer serviced. So it was purchased at BMW Bayside, which is out on Long Island in New York, and has spent most of its life up there. So it was purchased on 5/23 of 2012, was regularly serviced looks like we've had some tire issues, which has been interesting because new tires at 5,000 miles, new tire 2,000 miles. You could see that the oil and filter were changed at 9,400 miles. I don't see the oil change prior to that, but we'll take a look in a moment. You'll see that you had, now that was 2013, so it took about a year to get to that first 9,000 mile point. Then a year, almost a couple months later, we're seeing another tire. We get out another rally BMW out in Westbury, and then we're out to 13,000 miles. We've got another tire. Again, so the tire thing is kind of interesting. Oil and filter changed to 14,000. So we had a 5,000, little under 5,000 mile differentiation in the mileage on the first to second oil change. Kind of rolling through here again. You're seeing nothing here outside of the tire. 4 new tires at 14,500 miles or 14,900 miles. The one thing that does look like this baby goes through tires, like most of us would go through socks. But we did see, you know, the regular oil changes up into kind of this point here. Now at 17,000 miles, the service trail goes cold. We basically just see New York State inspections through to when the car was retitled in Arizona and then traded in at Carvana, which is now offering a car for sale. I did call the local BMW dealer and asked if the consumer protection recall was done on this vehicle, and they said, yeah, it was done in 2016. So it doesn't seem to appear here. It doesn't appear here on the CARFAX. So what I suspect is we moved from Long Island into Brooklyn, and many of these services may have been done by a local BMW dealer in Brooklyn that didn't report to CARFAX, because the CCP was done by a BMW dealer but doesn't show here according to the BMW dealer. So I'm going to get some additional information once the car shows up and kind of see what's been done and what hasn't been done from the BMW dealer. But there's a couple things that I tend to look at when I'm purchasing a vehicle, particularly one like this, which is a kind of notorious maintenance hog as well as a very expensive vehicle. The first one is, this was the original owner. It was purchased in 2012, and it wasn't a lease vehicle. So the original owner was able to afford essentially a $150,000 car at the time at which it was purchased, and looks like they kept, you know, if anything didn't feel right, this thing was going into the BMW dealer. 5,000, 7,000, 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, 13,000, 14,000, 14,000, 14,000, 17,000, 18,000. So I think what I can deduce from the CARFAX, at least up to the point at which it appears that they started servicing it at a BMW dealer that didn't report to CARFAX, was this car, if anything, just wasn't perfect. It went in for new tires, oil changes. It was dealer maintained, dealer serviced by someone who could afford to not only own the car, but buy it, service it right. They had the car, for 10 years and traded it with 44,000, 45,000 miles on it. So they weren't using it extensively, probably kind of, again, trying to paint an avatar or a story around this car. What I would suspect is the car was purchased by someone who lived out on Long Island, probably used it as a commuter into the Long Island Railroad, go into the city. They may have moved into the city at some point here around 2015. 2016, when the service records stopped. You see, they had 1 year where they put a significant amount of miles on it from 15 to 16. So my suspicion is that in 15, 16, this was some commuting time into the city, and then we then start seeing relatively low miles racking up. So 3,000 miles here, 5,000 miles to the next year, 3,000 miles to the next year, 4,000 miles to the next year, 5,000 miles. going forward. So my suspicion is, you know, a person moved into town, used the car a limited amount, probably continued to have it serviced the way that they'd always serviced the car, and then I would suspect probably retired, moved out to Arizona, decided to get a car that was better suited to Arizona, and traded the car in at that point, and got themselves a new vehicle. So this car has probably been extraordinarily well maintained. It looks like it's in really good shape, but there's a lot you can tell by looking at the CARFAX. And again, the fact that it was a one-owner purchased vehicle of a $150,000 car indicates that you've probably got a vehicle here that's was purchased by someone who could afford it, was well maintained, and held on to for a long time. When you're looking at some of these other used 7 Series, a lot of them were leased for that initial 3 years, returned, purchased, pre-owned, and then not necessarily maintained as well. And you might be on owner 3 or 4, and each year the deferred maintenance goes out a little bit longer. And if something's wrong, you know, they might just push off that call into the dealer or call into the independent mechanic until they actually have to do something. So this one looked like, from my seat, it looked like a really, really, really solid deal, particularly given the pricing. So again, when I look at the packages that were installed, you've got the ceramic controls, which again is a couple $100. It does, you know, I'd never, or $1,000, I'd never pay for it, but you know, it's interesting. You've got basically all the standard equipment that comes on the Alpina, and again, you've also got a car that really has a tendency to run out really kind of to a crazy extent. These things run 0 to 60 in between 4.4 and 4.8 seconds. When they were new, they're almost 5,000 pounds, and you know, bigger than an S-Class Mercedes from a length and width perspective. So a couple things. When I went to the inspection, and I kind of pulled the entire inspection list, a couple things stood out again. And looking at buying these cars, as you might have seen on the S500 video, I try and paint a picture of why the car is probably here, and what the situation is, and you know, what the history is, and how much of that we can pull together, and in this particular case, why the pricing is so far off. So again, kind of rolling through, Carvana's got a reputation online of not doing a really great job on these 150 point inspections. So I'm not going to dig into the, you know, obviously there's no problems. This car will get a full look over when it shows up. But the interesting thing that I noticed when in comparison to the CARFAX was the tire tread was low, and they needed a new set of tires. So again, this car seems to eat tires, and that's just something going into the ownership that I'm going to have to keep in mind as we go. The other one was, it looks like it had you know, some chips and such in the front and rear bumpers that have been, and scuffs and things that have been cleaned up as part of the sale process. But I would expect that may indicate, you know, some parking lot rash, some dings, some of those kind of things, which didn't hit the CARFAX from an insurance perspective, but probably needed to just be cleaned up as part of the sale process. So there was nothing on the inspection report that really stood out to me as a significant concern, outside of kind of ticking in my head that this is we're gonna have some tire, probably some tire challenges on this baby. We've got this is essentially the purchase price for me out the door. So, you know, $29, because you got the tax, title, registration, shipping of $990, never any bogus fees. So we've got that coming out the door, and again, it's for a car with 45,000 miles on it. When we look at Auto Tempest, and I take a look at the you can see that I have a tendency to get on Auto Tempest and look for nice vehicles that might be close in here. Let's look at BMW Alpina B7, and let's take this out to a nationwide search. and we're going to look at that gen. So 2008 to 2017. We'll do a search and see what we come up with. And again, I think we're going to find that this was a fairly decent pickup for us. So we've got a 2013 with 20,000 miles for 50,000. We've got a 2012, so a year older, a little bit better engine though. 22,000 miles for 47. There's one for 50, 42. This one's 31,000 miles. So it's almost, $15,000, $18,000 more, with a couple thousand miles a year older. 43,000, 52,000, 48,000. Got some 750i's even. Here's ours right here. So this is 25,990. There is nothing remotely close. So this is getting to be the closest coming out of Miami. We've got a 2014 with 58,000 miles for 17,900. So this looks like it could be a really good buy, except it's a 750 Li. So it's actually, there's so few Alpinas available that's feeding me up 750s. And that's it, gives you an idea of where the pricing would be. Here's a 12, so same year, more mileage, 37.4. So again, I think, what we can look at when we look at Auto Tempest is there's not much out there. And to the extent that there is stuff out there, we did 68,034. We did really well. So we've got this one coming in. Should be coming in on the 24th, and I'll do a couple additional videos as we go through it, so that you get a chance to see the vehicle, go through the delivery process with me, take a look at what we've got and what we don't have, and be able to really make an assessment. Was this a real screaming deal, as it looks like, or is this something where, I took Carvana for 10 grand, or they made a mistake and I took advantage of that mistake for 10 grand, or am I really going to get taken on this baby? We'll find out together, but that's the current situation. I'm not going to post these videos up until after we get closer, just because I want to make sure Carvana drops the car off at the house. Doesn't see the Carvana video and go, oh, we've made a mistake and the car is no longer available, or it failed inspection, or something along those lines. But the paper's been signed, the insurance is locked down. We've got the car on the way, and like I said, it looks like a really, really good, solid vehicle without a lot of issues, without a lot of problems. And I'm looking forward to sharing this Alpina adventure with you.